2 to 3 weeks?
Yeah. Knowing me, I'm probably not going to single anybody out.
Yeah.
I just tell you they're rookies as a class. I think they've definitely made strides. You've seen it in the games, which is always important when they take the practice field to the game. So I think that's been great. Plenty of room to grow for those guys, making mistakes, which you expect to see, but always good to see a rookie class get some game action in these preseason games.
You guys picked a punter yesterday. How much of a difference maker can Corey's leg be? It looks like he kicks the ball really well.
Yeah, I mean, you want your punter to be a weapon. So Corey is somebody that we're excited about when we went out and got him, to be able to use him in some plus 50 situations, especially pin a defense down. We almost had an opportunity to do that in the last game. And then, that ability to hold and that battery between Charlie, Corey, and Cade is important.
We talked to Miles earlier today. He really made a point to say what a jump Jordan Elliott has made. You've been here all 3 years with him. How have you seen him progress?
Yeah, Jeff, I think we've talked about Jordan. He's walking by right now. Talked about him quite a bit, and it goes back to the spring. I think he committed himself to physically getting bigger and stronger and being a pro at this, and he's done it. So he's a young man that's I think maturing, and his game has come along as well.
When we talked to Miles too, he brought up he's talked about this before, but some of the little things he's changed this offseason to improve his core, try to maybe get rid of those nagging injuries that pop up throughout the season, and some mental changes he's made. I guess just have you seen those little things come out when he's on the field yet? And I know Joe Woods has talked about how he thinks he still has so much more to give. I guess just your thoughts in general.
Yeah, I think when you see Miles at practice, for the offensive staff, they don't love having Miles out there because he can ruin a practice pretty quickly, just because he's so physically gifted. Now, having said that, I know Coach Kiff, and I think Miles would also say he does have room to grow. There's areas of his game that he wants to get better at, and I know Kiff and he have talked about that and have worked that. But the mental side of that, I think every player has room to improve. Every coach has room to improve when it comes to that area.
On the subject of young guys, it seems like a lot's going to be expected or asked of some of your young receivers. I'm just curious, how have you seen them handle the ebbs and flows of the good days and the bad days and that type of thing?
Yeah, I think it is a young room in there, and I think Coach O'Shea's done a really nice job with those guys, understanding how to be a pro and how to study and those type of things. So there's good days, there's bad days, and then big thing for receivers is you have to move on. You got to move on from one play to the next.
Tony Fields has played a lot of snaps over the first 2 preseason games. What have you seen out of him this year? Just in strides he's taken from last year to this year, and what kind of impact he could have for this football team?
Yeah, Tony's done a nice job. He played a lot of football for us last season on special teams, and that's going to be another area, or will continue to be an area that he can make a big impact on Sundays. He's gotten a ton of reps at linebacker, and we may be counting on him at certain points this season. So he's trying to put it all together, but it's just a matter of just stacking reps for Tony.
Go ahead.
After a preseason game, you get those takeaways of things guys can improve on. When you're back here on the practice field, how do you go about individually targeting those areas while also broadening it with the team? What's that look
Yeah,
like?
it's a good question, Cam. I think for all these guys, you want to come out onto the practice field with something to improve. Sometimes you make them write it down. What do you want to get better at today? Sometimes you have an opportunity to do that in an individual period right away. Sometimes that's for after practice where you're working maybe by yourself, maybe with one other player. But you do want them to walk on this field thinking that there's an area, a very specific area that they need to improve.
Once you get into regular season, is there less time for these young guys to improve? I mean, they're so concerned with the game plan in a given week. Does that cut back on their learning?
No, well, I think to your point, Tony, we are handing them a game plan, and we're trying to test them, so we're giving them a lot today and tomorrow, and we want them, all right, here's a game plan. I got to study this, I got to know this, and then I'm going to pour it out after this week, and we're going to challenge them. We're putting a lot of scheme in this week that we may not necessarily run in the game, but I want to challenge them mentally. Having said all that, you still have opportunities out here in individual period after practice to hone in on your skills. I don't think you ever go a day without working your fundamentals in this game.
What stands out about Yelda?
Yelda's very, very strong, plays really physical, intelligent player, has played in a bunch of different schemes, so he's done a nice job.
You ever been to Denver?
I have not. It's on my list, though.
Is it kind of impressive when a guy, kind of recommits his whole life to coming over here just because he likes football?
Yeah, he's got an amazing story. I know this. His teammates really like him. He works extremely hard.
Let's do practice in Denmark next summer.
Let's go. Joint practices in Denmark.
Hey, where is your, Kevin, this week you said you're going to challenge the guys, what have you. From a coaching standpoint, I know you get a lot to process, especially when you're going through, team drills. Where does your eye go first? What are you looking for? Are you fine-tuning things at this point in camp?
Yeah, I think you are, Tom. I think you're, at this point in camp, you're into the third preseason game, so you're starting to streamline into what you may be doing in week one. We're not a team, and most teams don't show you much in the preseason, so we won't show much in those games. But here out at practice, we're going to try some different things and move guys around the formation and use different defenses and offenses that we want to get reps on and feel comfortable then taking it into the season.
How much will these couple of practices here impact your decision as far as how much you want to play your regular Saturday night?
I don't think the practices themselves will have much of an impact on that. That's something I've really just started talking to the coaches about. I'll talk once we make a decision. I'll talk to the team about it. But these practices are more just a matter of getting good work in.
Is it the point where Watson now works only on his own, or does he still take reps?
He'll still take reps, maybe more in show team type looks, going against our defense, carded type periods. But everything that Deshaun does out here on the practice field, when it comes to individual show team reps, post-practice work, off to the side work, I think it all adds up.
You expect Greg back soon?
I do. Soon.
Today?
Getting close.
Was Isaiah able to make it to Tulsa for the baby?
He was there for the baby. Yes, he was. He had to be.
Is he back yet?
What's today?
Tuesday?
I think he's coming back tonight.
Kevin, it seems like you're pretty generous with giving guys an opportunity to go be with their family. I mean, I know baby's different, but even Miles, and this 4 practices to be with the family member. Can you just talk about your philosophy on the whole family piece?
Yeah, I don't know. It's necessarily my philosophy, Mary Kay. I just think we're all human. We have all of us have things going on outside of these walls and in our personal lives, and just want to make sure that we're here to support our guys.
You get when you have the joint practices, you get together with the other coaching staff and kind of lay things out. Curious, when it comes to preseason, is there any type of conversation that happens between coaches as far as, hey, it'd be nice if we could do this in the game at some point or things like that, or is it just strict competition?
No, I talk to the coaches every week. I talked to Coach Eberflus yesterday, and really you're trying to make sure that both sides can get work done, but you don't want to surprise anybody. So, in the last game, we weren't going to go into goal line personnel. Really, any preseason game, you're not going to get into goal line personnel. You're not going to zero blitz the other team. So those are some of the rules of engagement in the preseason, just to make sure that you're getting solid work done and you're really working together in that regard. Okay. Good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks.
You're up.
All right, there's Coach Stefanski at the podium from right now, not earlier today. Right now, as we do it live on a Tuesday edition. How you living, buddy?
I don't know.
Yeah,
There
you're
it
on.
is.
There you go.
I didn't
you
know.
good?
I couldn't
Yeah,
get
you're
the-
safe.
Safe pal.
You're safe.
We're good. I mean, you start the show off right there, Coach Stefanski. Not going to give you much, and he said that the very first question. Well, you know me. I'm not going to give you any specific players. Okay, so here we go.
It gets better when you have games, like regular season games.
There's consequence.
Because there's consequence. Like right now, the questions to Coach, I mean, I understand what your beat is trying to do. Like you're trying to ask questions that get you to a thought that is something that can be written about or is interesting to the fans. It's the gig, right?
Yep.
So you try to frame it in a way that gets you to that end. But he's not having it. He's not interested in that. What he's interested in is saying words without leading to anything that will create anything. So That's what you get.
So there you go. That is what you get. But we've got, listen, I got a chance to talk with our good friend Jason Tarver, Browns linebacker coach. We'll have that today. That's going to be a lot of fun.
We got Van Pelt today. We got Miles today.
And Tarver.
At podiums and Tarver. So, Tarver's going to be great.
Of course
Did you see him in the – what did I see him in? Oh, it was in the building, the Browns.
Yeah, in his visor with his hair.
The visor with the hair just flows over the visor.
Yeah.
Is a visor something that doesn't get as much run as it used to, or was it properly used in its time and now that time is gone?
I don't think they do get enough run. I'm not afraid of a visor at all. I think visor can be great. I'm happy that the visor that had the same peak as like a hat, like that. In my mind, I picture Brad Faxon wearing one while he's golfing. Like, I'm happy that.
That's exactly what I was going to say. He's the perfect.
I'm glad that visor
Only
is
Brad
gone.
Faxon wore that.
But that like low visor that Coach Tarver wears is great. And I think, just as the DBs now have their defensive back hoodies, I think that the linebacker room should all get like Tarver visors and wear those together. And if they want to get a visor with a built-in like flop with it, go for it. I mean, I think that'd be
like that you can get at like carnivals where it looks like you have like the.
Yeah, Miss K's going into a golf outing on Thursday. And
Miss K's a golfer?
Yeah. She can smack it every now and then.
I didn't know she played. Usually when we talk of the golf, it's she drives the cart and
correct.
You play.
No, I think it's a team building thing they're doing. So she was sourcing today some fun hats and things of that nature.
Oh, that's
for said event. Yeah. But I think that'd be great for the linebackers. I'd love to see that.
Spurrier was the greatest example of a visor wearing coach. And
the old ball coach.
He had. If you go old school, way back Spurrier, he had like the Faxon visor, and then that evolved into what we now see more often, although we don't see him as much. There was a time 20 years ago when a visor was pretty common. It was a pretty common thing that you would see going to sporting events.
Yeah,
and coaches and just around in social settings, you'd see a lot of visor play.
And now it feels like it's just gone the way of the dodo for the most part.
There aren't many.
That's why Coach Tarver's a hero.
John Gruden. Also a good visor in the early part of his
I think that was inspired by Spurrier.
Probably.
Pretty sure.
Because by the end, wasn't he wearing a hat down there with the Raiders at the end?
Yes. Correct. But at the start,
he was a big visor guy. Yeah.
Speaking of
even original Raider days, he was visor.
Correct.
How about the fact, have you seen the latest kerfuffle between Kyle Shanahan and the league?
Well, about his hat?
Yeah.
Has there been any more pushback to it, or he said he's upset about it? I know that, but was there any answer?
I think he's either going to do it and pay a fine or not. But he likes to wear that black flat brim hat with the teeny little red.
There's a red one, too, that he has.
And he wears a red one.
Inverted.
Yeah.
It's inverted.
But that's not a current year hat. And
I don't know if that ever was a hat, was it? Was that ever a hat you could buy?
I don't know. I'm sure you could. I guarantee people in the Bay Area would have that hat. But I guess they're cracking down on him. He's not happy about it. This is my preferred hat.
I just want to see.
Police.
Here's
the
thing.
To see if you could actually at any point have bought that hat, because my hunch is that it kind of has the look and feel to me of a custom job. I've never seen like so it's a new era cap.
So then it's but it was
it's from a new era 59. It looks like
So
what's interesting about it though
is
a real
one.
But I'm wondering if it was almost sewn on. Like, had the equipment staff just sew that on? They just go plain red one and sew that on? Because we didn't get the equivalent of that. We do not have the equivalent of that.
Do.
Usually there's a hat, a
for
template.
Everybody. Well, everybody has the camo hat, right, for training camp this year. And you're right, there's typically a template. But they sell a variety of hats that are officially licensed team hats. Like, you have the one that says Browns, and kind of like that 70s.
You have a catalog to choose from, right?
And not every team has that either.
No, but usually the template's the same across the league, right?
For the standard stuff.
Yeah.
That's not a standard stuff hat.
It almost has the feel of custom job.
I love it. And he should be able to wear it. By the way, I wish I missed the days of a football coach out there in a suit. It's great. That'd be a great look again. Bring that back. What was the guy's name?
All right. So Landry was the most all these guys.
But even go back, what was the guy for the Chiefs? Like a Hank Stram?
Oh, Hank Stram, like way in the old days. I love the look of like the suit with the spot-built black cleats with the white laces. Like that look for the coach is a strong look.
Wasn't that a Ditka look?
Oh, I think everybody wore that look, was a suit. I don't know when that
Ditka
stopped.
Was more of a – didn't he wear that sweater vest?
That's
with the tie.
The sweater vest.
But he had the shoes.
Yeah. And Paterno always wore the black shoes with the white laces. I think do you guys remember when Reebok was the NFL uniform provider?
Of course.
And like Jack Del Rio and Mike Nolan wore Reebok coaches' suits on the sidelines?
That's right.
Do you remember this?
I don't, but I have a Courtney Brown Reebok Browns jersey from 2000.
Oh, there you go.
Guy hit us with a Faxon pick already, and unreal.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
But they tried to push the suits again. I don't know if anybody will do it. And then once you stop making it like the norm, we saw this in college basketball. College basketball coaches famously were Natalie attired in incredible suits from Armani and all of this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So in COVID, they didn't have to wear that stuff anymore.
No.
And now they're all just in tracksuits all the time.
All tracksuits. I mean,
No
that's
good.
that's what the NFL guys coach in, basically. Sweatpants and
Yeah.
a T-shirt or a sweatshirt or whatever it is.
Did Belichick ruin it? Who ruined it?
It's a good question.
Who ruined the
It's
coaches are going to look nice situation?
Yeah, just because it's consistently gotten more casual.
Now as casual as possibly could be.
Yeah, that's right. You
Yeah.
have that. I believe you have that right.
The fedora?
The fedora.
I worked with a guy in television who said that it was that John F. Kennedy ruined the hat for the American man. That up until that point, that was the deal. You wore a hat everywhere through the 30s, 40s, everywhere, Old West, the whole bit. And then when Kennedy refused to wear a hat, everyone emulated him. I don't know if that was true or not, but he said it with a certain amount of emphaticism that made me believe that it was.
The rule is the rule. The dude abides.
Yeah, because you don't see fedoras much anymore. There was a
no.
little hipster time when they tried bringing it back with like swing dancing and stuff. Timberlake would wear them around. Come
Nah.
on, didn't take.
No.
Didn't take.
And for good reason, I think.
I don't know. You look pretty good, but you watch Mad Men or you watch the gangster guys, but watch Capone and those guys.
Sure.
Lucky Luciano feels like they look pretty smooth, didn't they?
Yeah.
Take the hat.
The hat is to take it off and to put it on the hat holder or the rack.
Yeah.
That's always a nice power move. Or, we're about to fight. Let me take my hat off.
Yeah.
Let me roll up my
Roll up your sleeves
here.
and really get after it.
And then you get in like a nice George Mazanin pugilist pose. Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. Snap that jab off.
I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah. Well, let's get into it. Let's figure out if we ever had a Browns equivalent of the new era cap. I feel like we can figure that out pretty quickly.
By the way, somebody tweeted us and said football coaches should have to wear pads in a uniform during games like baseball managers. No, they shouldn't. It's absurd that baseball managers do it. I don't get it.
It's easily the most absurd of any of the uniforms for coaches is the fact that they're in a full uniform.
They're the only ones.
Joe Torre in his 70s.
In pinstripes.
Out there in pinstripes.
Like, could you imagine if at the end of, like, Phil Jackson's run, if he had to, like, sit
wear
there
a
in shorts and
uniform?
wear, like, a uniform?
No.
Why do they do that in baseball?
I guess it's probably in the old days it was that you could possibly go play if you needed to. You could play if you had
You're
injuries.
a player manager or something.
Yeah,
but
that you could play, but that's long since gone.
Like, Tony La Russa looks absurd. And it's hard for me to bag on Tony La Russa.
He's your guy.
At the peak of my, like, childhood baseball love, I mean, he was the manager of record for a team that went to 3 straight World Series and won one of them. He was great hair, covered the top of his ears phenomenally.
Yep.
But now,
less than,
nearly, we're talking 33, 35 years later, he doesn't have it anymore. He looks ridiculous in uniform. He's asleep half the time. The fans hate him.
And he managed them before the A's, and then he won a World Series again, won maybe 2 with the Cards, didn't he?
Yeah.
Won a couple with the Cards or at least one with the Cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's great, La Russa. But I think he's lost it.
What is he, 78? He's got to be.
At least.
He looks pretty good for the number. I think we're going to be surprised at the number. My hunch was 78. How close was I?
Mentally, I'm not sure he's all there still.
77. Turned
Nailed
78
it.
October 4th. Boy, you really dialed that in.
Nailed it.
He doesn't look great. Let's just be.
He's almost 80.
The guy's been in the Baseball Hall of Fame since 2014. How's that even possible?
Like once you go in, you shouldn't be able to still work?
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone calls and they offer you enough money.
Yeah.
Coming out of
So
retirement.
he's a 3-time World Series champion, 1 with the A's, 1989, the Bay Bridge Series, and then 2 with the Cards, 2006,
I was
2011.
right. Gibby corrected me and said 1.
4 times
you?
manager. You said somebody
I said
corrected
2,
you, and then you
someone
said 1,
connected
and
me.
then I was like, yeah, I didn't correct you. I had no clue.
Yeah, it was 2. And then they won one with Mike Matheny, I think.
4-time manager of the year, and he is,
Yeah, I think his last year with the Cards was Pujols' final year.
What?
I mean, we're also missing this. Bub Phillips.
Ah, see, that's the good stuff.
Bub Phillips dressed as a character out of Yellowstone is sold.
Yeah,
you can absolutely see that guy trying to run bison next to the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch and worry about some sort of cross-contamination. That's a lock.
Absolutely.
That is 100% lock. That's a good job out of you, Chris. Bum Phillips in the cowboy hat, jeans, big belt buckle, insulated vest, cowboy shirt look.
By the way, I saw an ad for a show, and if anybody listening's, associated with it, my apologies. But obviously trying to capitalize on Yellowstone. There's now. Did you see this ad? It was on ABC. I don't know if it was on if I saw it on ESPN or maybe The Bachelorette. But there was an ad for a show starring Reba McEntire about some ranch out in Montana.
They went right back to the Montana way.
Yeah.
I think Trace Atkins is in it.
And it's all about like people come out there and like for these, go cowboy around a little bit, and then people keep dying.
A dude ranch.
And it's like mysteries, and it looked so bad, and her monologue was horrific. And I was said, nope, never.
Isn't it big? Is it Big Sky?
That's something like that.
Season 3 premiere. See a first look with Reba McEntire. Oh God. Oh my goodness! It's now called Big Sky Deadly Trails.
Yeah, Deadly Trails.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, that's it. Big Sky Deadly Trails. That's 100%.
God.
It looked so bad, and the only hope I had for it was on a streaming service, so it could maybe like have a chance of being good. And then it's also on ABC. And I was like,
God! Oh my God! Meadow Soprano's in it.
Oh man!
Oh my God! This will be
the ad looked. It's worth watching in a commercial break. The ad looked. It was appalling to me.
Oh, my God. The crime drama about a former partner undersheriff and newly appointed sheriff as they try to maintain order in Helena, Montana with their investigative skills. Let me tell you something.
I'm sure are.
There are no investigators needed in Helena, Montana because there's no crime. So guess what the name of the sheriff is? Bo Arlen.
Oh.
Spelled like me. My uncle's name is Arlen. They're coming for me.
So this is
Jensen Ackles is playing it.
This is season 3. This show
apparently
existed
it's
before.
a total reboot though. They're totally rebooting it with all new people. Is what
I was going to say. This is a different cast than the original Big Sky. This is one of those sequels.
As the two embark on a backcountry trip with outfitter
it's like
Sonny
when
Barnes.
CSI decided they were going to go to Miami, New Orleans, all this. Yeah.
McIntyre's character's name is Sonny Barnes. They're thrown into the most compelling challenge mystery yet. Good.
I bet they
are. Let me tell you something. Did not look compelling in any way.
Guess who do you think is least pleased about this?
Kevin Costner.
My father.
Your father, good.
More pissed off than ever. More people thinking they need to make a big deal about Montana.
Somebody falls off a cliff. Somebody looks like they get eaten by a wolf.
We've jumped the shark, kids.
But it's not. Come on,
it's too much.
I realize you want to capitalize. You want to capitalize on Yellowstone and the popularity, but
there's a lot. There's a lot that made that show work. A lot of kind of miraculous things. This ain't it. We have gotten our roster down to 80. We'll go over that cut list with you. You'll hear, as we mentioned, from Alex Van Pelt. Big media day today. Miles was at the podium as well. Some good stuff there, including some comments on him going up against former teammate Baker Mayfield in the opener, and then Z's exclusive one-on-one conversation with our good buddy Jason Tarver, our linebacker coach. You have all of that to look forward to, which is nice. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. My friends, the Bath Authority gives you that bathroom of your dreams in about a day. You can turn your current bathroom into a spa-like experience with my good friends at the Bath Authority. They can do it for you at a fraction of the cost of the competitors. The Bath Authority is Cleveland's premier bath and shower remodeler, experts and factory-trained installers. You give them a call right now at 216-220-8399. You get $500 off your next custom bath or shower remodel. That is 216-220-8399 at thebathauthority.com. It's where affordability meets quality. The largest selection of bath projects, all made in the United States. Tub to shower conversions, whatever you need. Superior products with expert installers at the Bath Authority. Yes, Dr. Z. That's it's Mark Mangino, isn't it?
I don't know.
Pretty sure.
That's
Kansas.
That is a heck of a varsity jacket. There is what that is.
That's Mark Mangino. That's a Youngstown man, I believe. He's connected with the Stoops through that. I think he was actually back at Youngstown State under Bo Pelini. I'm pretty sure.
I like little
Bo Pelini. He actually went to the Orange Bowl with Kansas, that guy. He was the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma and then ended up at Kansas, and they actually went to the Orange Bowl. Todd Reesing was there. Aqib Talib was there.
Aqib Talib.
At that time. Yeah, not great.
By the way, quick aside.
Please.
I watched the Manti Te'o documentary over the weekend.
Yep.
The look that I have right now, my jaw agape, was my look.
How much of it did you remember before watching it?
I remembered I remembered his girlfriend died. He didn't have a girlfriend, all the jokes being made, and that it turned out that he had gotten catfished.
Yep.
And moved on from there. But what I did not know was, number one, the depths of this catfishing, which was not really a thing back then. We didn't know about it. I know
so it's important to remind people that who are just now watching this, nobody even knew what that was. So MTV, I don't know if it was off of this or as this was going on.
I think the latter, yeah.
There was a show about this that gained popularity, but no one even heard of it. When I was, because I was still covering college football every day at that point, and have been for a long time. But I mean, I had a Heisman vote. He had my Heisman vote. He was my more than John. I voted for him, number one. He had all of it. So, but when this catfishing stuff came out, I never even heard of it.
Same.
No point of reference.
I came out of that feeling so bad for him.
Yeah.
His life was ruined in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
And now he still had a nice NFL
Pretty amazing
career.
He had the NFL career he did, considering.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ended up a team captain. So, like, in that world, he regained. But he lost things that he will never get back. And it was a diabolical plan. And, yes, you could say, how could you be so naive? Or how could you not have demanded to meet this person? But the psychological games that were raged by Naya now, by this woman, then a man, Ronaya, were crazy. And, like, at some point, I was ready to, like, smash the TV when Naya was acting, why do you have to publish the voicemails? And was mad about it. Like, what do you mean?
Right.
Like, you ruined this dude's life and played some game because you weren't comfortable with who you were and were trying to live this other life and ruined Manti Te'o's life in a lot of ways.
Yes.
I mean, completely.
Yeah.
It was messed up, and I will be and forever will be. I always thought Manti Te'o was great at Notre Dame. You know, it kind of became, here's the thing that made me sad is looking back over the whole thing. It was, oh my God, it's a great story. This guy's awesome. Everybody loves this guy. He had this fake girlfriend, and it was almost presented like it was on Kim, that like he
manufactured it.
He faked the girlfriend, which is not true in any way.
Do you remember the Jeremy Schaap interview with him?
Yeah, which was crazy.
Which was insane.
Insane. Looking back, Jeremy Schaap, I would hope, is not pleased with his performance in that.
I would hope not. Yeah.
Awful.
Then
he's defending questions about his sexuality, about his life, all of these things.
Yeah.
That he never should have had to. It was nuts. The lack of remorse on the perpetrator, to me, is the most stunning part of it all, and frankly angered me a great deal. And I thought at the end, Manti Te'o, you're like, this guy's, what a human being. I mean, he's been through the hardest stuff. He did the documentary in the hopes that it helps one person out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't like him anymore, and I feel, I'm sure we all at some point or another participated in a joke, and there was the memes of him hugging nothing and all, like,
dude, 100%.
Awful.
As we were naive to all of this at the time, there would be people who would have said, "Did you get Manti Te'o out?"
Yes,
that
of
was
course.
part of the lexicon.
Totally.
Like that became something that was said.
How did this person, Ronaya, now Naya, not? I feel like they face no punishment.
Yeah, and
at
I don't
all.
think the damages on it are so substantial. I mean, it affected the way he was drafted. It affected the way he was viewed in the NFL. It affected, let alone psychologically, his life.
Psychologically, he was destroyed.
He would have been, from a marketing standpoint, had this not happened, he would have been one of the most marketable players going into that NFL draft. He was finished second in the Heisman at Notre Dame playing linebacker. He was kind of the face of college football with John Football that year.
He was the golden boy of
yeah.
sports.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing to me is that
he was great.
He was
by the way.
great. And
great.
You talk about a butterfly effect, just a small little decision changes it. He wanted to go to USC from the day he was born.
Mm-hmm.
And a guy says, a counselor says to him, do you want to go to USC and be the next great Polynesian player at USC? By the way, not bad footsteps to follow. Seau. Or do you want to go to Notre Dame and be the first Manti Te'o? And he, because he was so strong in his faith, thought that was truly a sign that he had to go to Notre Dame. He goes to USC. This does not happen.
No. There's no question the outpost nature of Notre Dame.
The complete isolation of it. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And he goes, like, USC was great then. That was Pete Carroll.
So I haven't seen it
and
yet.
they wanted him.
It was, towards the end of Carroll's run. This probably would have been transition, because that would have been the 2011 season, would have been the year he finished second in the Heisman, 2011 or 12.
Okay.
Somewhere in there. He would have recruited him, but probably not coached him. It probably would have been handed over to probably Sark.
The way that it was presented in the documentary was that Carroll was recruiting him, and USC was like, and they're Matt Leinart. What year was Matt Leinart?
His last year was 05.
Okay, so that's what they used in the documentary, which is a little time fudging.
Yeah, Matt Leinart was a senior in 05. Vince Young got him in 05. He is out of SC at 09, so he still would have recruited him, and he would have had him early in his probably first 2 years. I want to say it was 2008. No, it was his senior year was 2012.
Yeah,
because 2012 Ohio State is undefeated, but they can't play in a bowl because they took on the penalty. They volunteered to take on the penalty.
Yeah.
That was Urban's first year. They went 12-0. They would have played Notre Dame for the national title because Bama had a loss.
Yep.
So it would have been undefeated Notre Dame, undefeated Ohio State in 2012 had it played out. So it was 2012.
I'd urge you to watch it. It's 2 hours. It's incredible.
I've seen it in the queue.
It's incredible.
I know it.
Have you watched it, Gibby?
The whole thing made me so uncomfortable in the moment, and
I
I'm
have not.
probably ashamed to. Although again, he had my vote. I had him number one, but.
And by the way, there was another guy who was third that year that never even got drafted. I want to say a quarterback from Washington State or a blonde kid.
Like Washington, Jake Locker? Not Jake Locker.
No. Might not be Washington State or Kansas State. Kansas State quarterback.
I wouldn't
never
think.
even got drafted.
Looking right now.
He was third. He was the
He would
third
have been the
finalist.
2012 Heisman vote. It was
I-
a tricky year. John won it Johnny was unbelievable. I think he ran for 1,000.
Kansas State.
Oh,
Colin
Klein. Wow.
Yeah, I'd never even heard of that guy.
Marquise Lee out of USC was fourth. Braxton was fifth as a sophomore, true sophomore at Ohio State. Wow, look at that list. Yeah, Te'o was second.
You gotta watch it, man. I
know it.
And then tell me afterwards if you believe there's any chance that guy's voice is the voice on all the voicemails. I say no. He goes on Dr. Phil. This is a little spoiler for you.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Phil's like, produce the voice then. If you're saying nobody else was involved, produce the voice. You have no idea the depths how messy. You're going to be like,
yeah.
You got to watch it, though. You're going to love Manti Te'o.
I will.
So Dr. Phil tells the guy, okay, you've got to be – Renai, you got to make this voice where you call him in the voicemails, and it's a woman's voice. And he's like, I have to get into this dark place to be able to do this. And so he then produces the voice behind a black screen where you can't see him, which, I mean, I feel like he had to be playing. There had to be somebody else. That's just my opinion. I'm no forensic expert.
God, he's only 31.
And he's remarried now. He's married. I'm not remarried. He's married now. He's got a couple kids. It looks like life is great. He's doing well. And I follow him now on Instagram. And
God bless him.
Yes, like 1,000,000,000%. And without this documentary, my knowledge of it would have been, oh yeah, he got catfished. You know,
Stupid. How dumb could you have to be?
Right.
Right.
Not like it's just, dude. It's crazy. It's crazy the depths to which this Ronaya went to keep him hooked into this. And people are like, he's crazy. There were other football players that knew this girl. There were his cousin, quote unquote, knew this girl from social media.
This was before like FaceTime too, right? So he wasn't able to ever.
We would try to FaceTime at times, and like it just would never be like, oh, I can see you, you can't see me. Like it just,
oh yeah,
a bunch of nonsense. Look, I think if you were to take a step back, but I mean, she had like her nephew or her niece talking to him on the phone, like other family members talking to him on the phone. It felt like a very well fleshed out situation.
They sought him out because he was a football player.
No,
that was just part of the game.
So the guy really felt in his heart he was a woman, couldn't live that life out in the real world, so he creates this profile using pictures of a girl from high school that he went to. Like at one point, Manti is like, if you're real, you need to send me a picture right now with your face with this written in it and flashing this sign. And he gets it. The girl, Ronaya playing Lenny Kukua, reached out to the woman whose pictures he was using, who has no idea that he's using the pictures for the Facebook profile, and says, hey, my friend is dying after a car accident and went to high school with you. This would cheer him up. Can you do this? And gave the exact parameters for that picture. So like,
so psychologically, it's just warfare that you've never seen.
You have no idea. This is like, what I told you is
it.
like the tip of the iceberg. It's
right.
crazy, dude. Crazy.
Right.
Manti Te'o, I want to hug him.
Crazy.
Beyond.
We did get Matt Eberflus's press conference is happening.
Sorry for that aside.
No. It was something we were going to talk about
yesterday.
Watch
it. Everybody should watch
and
it.
I will check it out. The Bears starters are going to play 25 to 30 plays in the game here on Saturday night, so you'll get a full look. I am fearful if we play ours for Justin Fields' safety, as I was the last time he was here, but they say that they're going to give it a go. So 25 to 30. You heard Coach off the top of the show talking about how, hey, like usually we talk to guys about this, about what we're going to do, so I wonder if it'll be a similar plan for us. Now, we won't get that from Coach. He's not going to give up his plan.
Yeah, I mean, he goes on. Roquan Smith will play against Cleveland.
Yeah, but
David
Coach,
Montgomery might end up
Kevin's
playing.
not giving that out, though. You're not going to get that.
From us?
No.
No, but this is from our good friend Courtney Cronin.
But usually,
up to the half.
If one coach is doing that, the other's doing similar, is what I've noticed.
I would think at least a quarter.
That's what I've noticed. Roster cuts, these happened yesterday. You had Joseph Carlton, Luther Kirk, Wyatt Miller, Parnell Motley, Marcus Santos Silva as well, but what the most notable there is the punter situation.
Yeah, Corey Bajorquez has won the punter job, and Joe Charlton did a great job, and he absolutely can kick in this league, and should anything happen to Corey Bajorquez and Joe's out of work, he will be brought back to the Browns. They like him a lot. He is a top 32 punter on the planet, but they wanted to get him out early to give him a chance to latch on somewhere as quickly as possible. And there's no reason to keep two punters. Once they made the decision, it was going to be Corey Bajorquez. Luther Kirk, we didn't see much. Wyatt Miller was just claimed this last week, didn't play in the preseason game. Parnell Motley, now this one surprised me a little bit. I thought he played well. I know that he was well liked in that DB room. A scrappy, fiery competitor, had a nice third down PBU. He had 2 PBUs actually in that game against the Eagles, but they've decided to move on. And look, the truth is, as an outside corner, he wasn't going to make the team, but maybe I thought he might be somebody to stay in the program. Then Marcus Santos Silva, I think the development in his transition from basketball to the NFL was maybe not as quick as the Browns were hoping for, and we'll see. Maybe he ends up on the practice squad and they can continue to try to nurture that, but for now, they decide to move on there. I think the guy that's really kind of opened a lot of eyes in that tight end room is Nikia Griffin Stewart, who's had back-to-back solid games, certainly as a move tight end, a pass-catching tight end.
All right, good stuff there. In terms of what our plan will be offensively and what we've seen to this point of camp, now that camp is actually over and we start to get into this thing, Alex Van Pelt was at the podium. We'll have that for you coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
And Cleveland.
Elk and Elk Serious Lawyers at Serious Injuries. Call 1-800-ELK Ohio for a free case review. Elk and Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. And now let's head to the podium for our offensive coordinator, Alex Van Pelt.
He's come in the both of the games he's played extremely well. Very happy with where he is right now. Has a great understanding of the offense. He's a very intelligent young man, does a lot of good things. He's athletic, obviously, the runs he's had in this preseason, the scrambles. So I'm very excited about his development so far.
How much, Jacoby, just in the last week, have you seen just a growth in him and the young, taking command of the offense? Yeah, it's been the last few weeks I've seen it, really. It's impressive. He's a natural leader. He's a worker. He spends a lot of time when we're not around him working. I'll look out of my window after practice 45 minutes later, and he's still on the field. He's an intelligent guy. He's played a lot of football in his career, so very comfortable where he's at.
To go back to Josh, Kevin has talked about it a little bit, just how valuable it is that he's been here so long at this point in terms of him potentially backing up Jacoby. Just How important is that to you guys that he's been through all those installs and everything? Oh,
it's very valuable. The more that they're around, really, it's three new quarterbacks in the room that are learning the offense for the first time. So to have that experience and going through each install through the spring, through the OTAs and training camps, it's super valuable.
Actually, you've had a ton of reps with Jacoby and Deshaun out here. So how does the offense different depending on who's under? Yeah, well, we're always going to build as coaches. We have to build the best plan around the players that we have, obviously. So skill sets change, but our job as coaches is to get the most out of each player based on their skill set. So it'll look a little bit different, but our core offense is in. But you'll see different plays for each different guy, and that's the case regardless of who's in right now. You always want to play to their strengths.
Last year when we went into the questions, we talked about all the receivers and all the options going into the season that you had. This year it seems like it's running backs now, all the options that you have there. So just, how do you share the wealth, spread the love so that all those guys get an opportunity to eat a little bit?
It is really a great group. All guys are super talented in that room and have been productive when they've stepped on the field. Obviously, Kareem and Nick haven't played in the preseason, but their body of work from the last two seasons is tremendous. Dearness coming in and having success when those guys were hurt. He's another guy that you feel really comfortable handing the ball off to. And then Jerome Ford coming in. And John Kelly, he's had a good preseason too. So it's a solid room, and really happy to have all those guys.
Brissett's the only guy we haven't seen play. There's only one game left.
Right.
And he's in a new offense. Does he have enough time to get ready?
Oh yeah, no, I do believe that for sure. I'm not sure how much or if he'll play this week, but we've calculated reps and started to get him more and more. A few weeks back, moving in the direction of him starting the season. So he'll have plenty of reps when the first kickoff happens.
Like off to the side at this point, or is he going to still?
He's going to still get some work. It'll be less and less with the first group moving forward, but he'll still get work.
Do you get reps ahead of time?
That's to be determined. Yeah, but we have to be ready for that opener, and that's the most important thing. Getting this week, obviously, and then regrouping and being ready to go in the opener. Got to have both those guys ready to go.
You know what you said about the run game, the strength of the running backs, and the fact that it's Jacoby who's not your franchise guy. Does it make sense just to run the ball a bunch, especially early in the season?
Well, I think we're always going to run the football. That's where our offense starts, is with the run game and the wide zone game. So I don't think that'll be any more or less. I'm sure teams will defend us a little bit differently maybe than they would with Deshaun, and that's fine. We're used to that. But we're never going to get away from the run game, regardless of who our quarterback is.
How do you see that wide receiver group shaking out after Amari Cooper and DP?
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Amari. He's a guy that I've always admired from far. Did him as a receiver coming out in college, explosive, true pro, and he showed every bit of that out on the field and in the practice reps he's gotten. Donovan's just a solid man. He's had a really good camp. He does a lot of things for us in the run game and the pass game. Felton's come on now, as a slot receiver in his second year. I like a lot of his qualities that he brings. And then there's a group of young guys, behind that. But those guys that have potential, there's some hard workers. Mike Woods is a guy that hasn't been on the field as much, but when he has been on the field, he's been productive. Harley is a guy that just can run all day. He's Energizer Bunny. It's a good group, but I definitely am very impressed with Amari.
Alex, you spent a ton of time with Baker on and off the field these last 2 years. Your thoughts on him winning that starting job?
Happy for him, happy for Baker. Looking forward to competing against those guys in the opener.
Alex, I've heard so much about Jacoby's steadiness toughness and leadership, composure, etc. How important are those tangibles, especially with this team and what it's been through this offseason?
Yeah, I think that's huge, and he does bring that rock, in the locker room and on the offensive side of the football. Even going back to earlier in training camp, we were maybe 2 weeks in, and we had a really bad practice offensively, and he was the first one to call the group up and kind of just address the issues that we were having at that time. So he's a guy that's been there. He's done it. He's done it as a backup, and he's also done it as a starter. So those are valuable experiences that he's gone through, and we'll lean heavily on him as a leader.
How'd you feel about calling plays in that game?
It was fun. It's good. I love it. Yeah.
Was it just the one quarter?
I went the first half last week. Yeah, the first half. It's awesome here because Kevin gives everybody an opportunity to call, and that's, as a young coach, to have that opportunity is so valuable. I'm not sure who will help call this week, but last week Coach O'Shea called the second half, so it's fun to have different voices and give guys opportunities to be play callers.
Dobbs in that 2-minute drill seemed to be totally in control of things.
He is very in control. He's very in tune with the offense and what we're trying to accomplish on each play call, and he's been executing at a high level.
Intellect is well known, away from football.
Right.
Does that really translate to the game?
For sure. Absolutely. Whether it's memorizing numbers and calculus to memorizing formations and play calls, it definitely helps.
Have you seen Kareem handle the contract issue?
I understand where he is, obviously. I have nothing but good things to say about his work ethic and the way he plays when he's out there. He's a violent runner. I understand it, obviously, but at the same time, he's under contract, and we're hoping he's happy with that, and he plays hard for us this year, which I'm sure he will.
Expect him to be as big a part of the offense as he was a couple years ago when he was
I certainly would expect that, yes.
With some of these young guys like Anthony Schwartz and David Bell, the ebbs and flows of being a young player, you had your good days, you had your bad days. How have you seen them kind of handle that? Just it feels like with the receiver position being what it is, a lot's going to be expected of them this year. So just from your perspective, how are they handling the ebbs and flows of the good days versus the bad?
Sure. No, I think Schwartzy's put together some really good practices here of late. He's doing everything we've asked him to do. He gets guys open alone with his speed, and then he made some plays on the ball in this past game, as well as in practice. And then, David Bell's just a young guy. He's learning his way right now. He's getting better each day. That's the thing that I've seen from him. Started off just a little bit unsure of maybe the offense, and now you can see his play speeds increasing. He's starting to get a better understanding.
Michael Dunn showed some mobility out of the center position in the game. Looks more mobile than Posick. Having Posick in there as a starter, does that limit you in some of the wide zone things?
I don't think so. I think those are very good centers. I'm real happy that we have the depth that we do have. Poe is a very stout, strong guy, and the wide zone game will suit him just fine. And then Dunny does a lot of good things, like you said, on the perimeter. But the depth that we have at offensive lines is very reassuring.
Did Dunn wrap up that backup center swing position?
You'd have to ask Coach Callahan on that one. We'll discuss personnel there.
Kevin was saying that you guys are kind of in regular season mode this week. So from a coaching standpoint, what is the emphasis? What are you guys really harping on this week?
Really, it's just to get the rhythm and the timing of how a in-season Wednesday would feel. That's it for us today. So we talked through personnel this morning with the group of who they are, put in our base plan. It gives the coaches an opportunity to kind of do a dry run on their presentations. Each coach will present a different area to the guys. So this is the week that we're going to get the rust off of our presentations and give these guys a feel of what an in-season week. It definitely changes, yes. We go back to in-season schedule, so we'll be in the building earlier and out on the field a little bit earlier than normal.
No, I mean in terms of like what you're trying to get done during a practice, like is that?
Yeah, we're still in the mode of Browns versus Browns at times. At the same time, getting ready for Chicago, so we're still a little bit in training camp mode. It's not 100% scout team card yet, so we're still competing in a couple periods, but then we're getting ready for Chicago as well.
Alex, what did you see what happened with Jed?
1 minute.
Yeah, it was a tough situation for Jed. It was just an alignment thing with the left side of the line. We were deep a few times, didn't get it corrected, and he had a false start. Got frustrated, understandably, and that's just part of the deal. You can't get frustrated, you can't throw your helmet. We addressed it with Jed, and Jed's fine.
What are your expectations for him this year? Coach Callahan said he expected a quantum leap out of him.
Yeah, no, I see it, especially in the Philly practices going against different guys. I mean, he's getting the best work he can get every day in the practice against Miles. So to see him go out and have success against other defensive ends is very encouraging.
Last one. Against Chicago. I mean,
Last question.
and you haven't seen him play in a game yet, just
Right.
like us. So
Right.
Does he need to score? Does he need to move the team?
We always talk about operation, getting in and out of the huddle cleanly with the right play calls, getting us into the right plays. Just the operation of offense, I think, is the big thing. Obviously, we would love to go down and score a few times, but that's not the end of the world if we don't. But we're looking for clean operation, clean mechanics from that position.
You're up.
There's a new way to cheer on your Cleveland Browns with the help of your favorite four-legged companion. Barking Backers, presented by Milkbone, is the Browns' newest club for pet parents worldwide. Sign up today at barkingbackers.com. Barking Backers, the fan club for dogs. We'll go around the league coming up next. In addition to that, in the final hour, you'll hear from Myles Garrett and also Z's exclusive one-on-one with our good buddy Jason Tarver. You have that to look forward to, which is nice. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Rumpke Waste Recycling, family owned and operated. Whether you join them as a customer or as an employee, you'll become part of the family. Visit rumpke.com to learn more. Not practicing today, Michael Woods, Dalen Baldwin, Greg Newsom, Jerome Ford, Dakota Allen, Isaiah Thomas is out for personal. Coach mentioned that in the presser. Chase Winovich, Chris Hubbard, Jadeveon Clowney, and Perrion Winfrey not practicing today. Any of those noteworthy to you? Several guys that we haven't seen regularly. Jerome Ford not practicing. Did something happen to him that I missed?
I don't know, and I don't know that we'll get that kind of an update. Maybe if they release a post-practice report, we'll know the exact reason. With Clowney, my guess is it's just a veteran day for Jadeveon Clowney. Winfrey, we know, did go into the tent and left the field with trainers, and Stefanski said after the game that he's got a few things to work through, so we'll see there. Dakota Allen, that's a new one, and I don't know if that's something that's coming out of the game. And look, they don't have to be that forthright with these things. Dakota Allen's a guy who was very much in a battle to try to make this roster as either the 5th or the 6th linebacker. It sounded like, when you talk about noteworthy, one thing that I felt like was somewhat noteworthy from the Kevin Stefanski presser was, he talked about Tony Fields as if it was a certainty that Tony Fields was going to be on this roster.
Mm-hmm.
He will help us on special teams, and he may help us, as at a linebacker spot at some point. So that means that's 5. So the question then becomes, do we keep 6? And if so, Dakota Allen, special teams guy. And then the guy that I love, who's quickly becoming one of my favorites, Jordan Kunashik. Guy never misses a tackle. He's an aggressive, physical tackler. You're going to hear Coach Tarver talk about him. Special teams guy's been in the league for 3 years. Cal Berkeley man. You always appreciate a good Cal guy. I talked to him actually after the game. Nice kid. Like, he looks like central casting. This guy's like should be a linebacker in the program without the craziness associated with that comment. Just okay, yeah, this guy looks like he's a stud. I like that kid. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting.
All right, let's go around the league here briefly. The Raiders have released Kenyon Drake, so that's going to happen. Oh, very exciting, very exciting.
Oh,
a little bit of traveling music, as Gibby likes to call it. Kenyon Drake could be on the way out. The reason for Brady's camp absence was revealed. I mentioned this yesterday, Gibby. We talked about this. Come on, Gibby. We talked. Remember Ocean Club?
His ears
hurting.
His ears are hurting. Yeah.
Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin implies the starting quarterback job is still up for grabs during his weekly press conference. Will come down to the final preseason game. Well, that's this week. So it's going to be this one's going to be. It's going to be Trubisky. If he falls flat, then you can go to Pickett, and it buys you time.
Here's the thing. I think that Pickett is probably the best decision maker. As I've been reading some reporting out of the Pittsburgh area. Chris Sims even weighed in on this. Pickett's the best decision maker right now. Their line is horrific, and I think they open with
the Bengals.
Bengals, us, and somebody else who's good is in their first 3 games. I'll pull it up while I'm talking. But what he had noted was that they were all good pass rushing teams.
Yeah.
And Mike Tomlin apparently is incensed with the state of his offensive line. And so it is Bengals, Patriots, Browns are their first 3.
I see. Yeah.
Jets, Bills, Bucks are their first 6. Dolphins 7. Eagles 8. That is a tough schedule, and all good defensive fronts that I just listed right there. Every single one of them. And then they go Saints, Bengals, Colts.
It's hard to imagine them not in the division at the bottom. It's really difficult.
They will be favored. They will be underdogs against the Bengals. They will be underdogs week 2 at home against Patriots is my guess, or pick them.
Depending on what I was talking to a guy this morning about the Patriots. He thinks they're going to fall off a cliff.
Okay.
Yeah. But who knows?
Underdogs against us week 3. Favorites probably against the Jets at home, I would think. Underdogs Bills, underdogs Bucks, underdogs at Dolphins, underdogs at Eagles, probably underdogs Saints, underdogs Bengals, underdogs at Colts. I mean, they're going to be favored only twice in their first 12 games. That's a brutal schedule. Maro.
Yeah, it is absolutely brutal. So you play Trubisky to get through the early lumps, and then you can go to Pickett if it's off the rails as the season goes along, and you hope your offensive line gets better as it goes.
Yeah, I guess.
That's the plan. One other thing on Brady. At some point, he has to answer for all this, doesn't he?
I would think
we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Like, at some point, he's got to be at a podium. How much did you know? How in depth were your conversations with Stephen Ross in Miami, and over how many years?
You think that there's got to be some, actual questions that will be asked and answers that should be demanded. I mean,
how close were you to becoming a Las Vegas Raider?
Yeah. What was up with the Niners?
Right.
Were you really throwing that shade at Derek Carr?
Right. There's a lot of legitimate.
What was Dana?
Some of this I would even think would be applicable to potential penalties that were handed out to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he's not being penalized if he colluded.
Why was Dana White involved?
There's no way his agent would collude without him pointing him in that direction.
All right, here's from Mike Florio this morning. On Saturday night, UFC president Dana White admitted he brokered a deal for Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski to join the Raiders. Let's not forget they had Darren Waller. On Sunday, Raiders owner Mark Davis took a page from the Sergeant Schultz playbook claiming ignorance. That was, 2 or 3 years ago? I don't know, man. Talk to Dana. I remember that Tom went to Tampa. That's basically what I remember. Dana has the stories. I love Dana. He's a great promoter. Why would this make me upset? A source with knowledge of the situation has offered to refresh the memory of Mark Davis. Per the source, Davis knew exactly what was happening. White brokered the deal with both sides, Brady and the Raiders. Davis, per the source, wanted it to happen at least as it related to Brady, but as White said, Coach John Gruden decided at the last minute to kill the deal, and Brady was ready to go. He was, per source, going to do it, but for Gruden bowing out, Brady would have been a Raider. White acted as the intermediary. The source explains, similar to the manner in which Bruce Beal served as the one who was trying to get Brady to Miami to play for Stephen Ross. White served as the man trying to get Brady to Las Vegas to play for Mark Davis.
Yeah. It's. I mean, at some point, I just think he's got to talk about it. All right, NFL analysts Matt Bowen, Tim Hasselbeck, Mina Kimes, Matt Miller, Jordan, a bunch of them. They rank their personal top 10 quarterbacks entering the 2022 season in distinct categories: arm strength, accuracy, touch, mechanics, field vision, decision-making with football, compete level, toughness. Compete level and toughness are the same, aren't they?
Yep.
Pocket presence, scrambling, designed run ability, second reaction ability. Our guy Deshaun finished 10th in arm strength, 10th in accuracy, 10th in field vision, 8th in scrambling, 8th in design run, 8th in second read reaction ability. Honorable mention votes in touch, mechanics, decision-making, toughness, and pocket presence on that list.
He's good. He's a good quarterback. And there are a lot of good quarterbacks, and there's some interesting stuff in here about these quarterbacks, and it's no surprise that, Allen and Herbert and Mahomes and Rodgers are near the top of pretty much everything, and that's kind of the way that it is. But these things are always
He's being
fluid.
penalized by the off-field stuff.
Of course.
There isn't anybody in the league who, if the off-field stuff wasn't there, he would be the 4th or 5th pick in the redrafting quarterbacks.
Yeah.
It'd go Allen, Mahomes. If you're redrafting him and you consider age
For
into
age?
it would go Mahomes, Allen, Herbert,
Burrow, Watson. Would be in the top 5. Yeah. That'd be
Burrow's not top 10 on this, by the way. Oh, no, that's
not
arm strength.
That's just arm
that's
strength.
just arm strength.
He shows up in accuracy. He's number 3. Touch, number 4. Mechanics, number 3. Field vision, number 4. Decision-making, number 5. Yeah, Burrow's all over the place. He just doesn't have that a rocket. But he's darn good.
Plenty good.
Plenty good.
Plenty good to get the job done, my friend. All right, good stuff as we go around the league. Coming up next, Myles Garrett at the podium. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Hey friends, it's Bo here for my friends at Renew Home Exteriors. Upgrade the look and siding of your home with new siding from Renew Home Exteriors. Receive $1,500 off and free insulation wrap plus 0% interest for qualified buyers. In addition to that, Renew Home Exteriors will meet or beat competitors' estimates by up to 10% or pay you $100. Hear from their customers. Here's what Sean had to say. He said, Renew Home Exteriors has a very professional and punctual crew. Was a great experience. Quality work. I would use it again and recommend. You too can beautify your home with premium siding and roofing products at lower prices with Renew Home Exteriors. Visit renewestimate.com for more. And now here's Myles Garrett at the podium.
You've been through a little bit of
You're down.
time, personally over the last week or so. So can you just, not that you need to get into details or anything, but you've really been through a tough emotional time, right?
Yeah. Moves out for a while, visiting a family member. And supporting them and supporting my family. So just wanted to be around him and show him that he's loved during this tough time and be present.
And how much did you appreciate the fact that Kevin Stefanski, the Browns, just gave you all the time that you needed to tend to your family member?
It really means a lot. It shows how much trust they have in me to go out there and be where I need to be with them at that time, but also come back and do what I'm supposed to do to get back with the team and be on top of it when I get back.
How's it going football-wise? You aren't going to play in the preseason, I don't think, but you feel like you're where you want to be here with a couple weeks left.
I'm on the unofficial depth chart for that third game, so we'll see if I end up playing or not. But and I feel like I'm in a good spot all around, and I'm happy to be able to get the chance to go back out there whenever it is.
Hey, Myles, yesterday, though, Baker said that the game will mean more because it is the Browns. Will it mean more to you guys because it's Baker?
No.
Why not?
Well, he's my former teammate, but I don't have any. There's no rivalry there between me and him, and there's no rivalry there between the Panthers and the Browns. Yes, he was here, but it doesn't mean I have an added sense of urgency to get to him. I want to play my best, and whatever's in the cards. That's what's it for me. But if I can help my team win, if I can put them in the best position to win, I'm gonna do that. And if I can get a couple sacks along the way, I'd kind of enjoy that too.
Last year you talked a lot about reaching greatness and how legendary comes after greatness for you. I guess just what have you been focusing on physically and mentally to try to reach those stratospheres you want to get to in your career?
Consistency all around. In my life. I think it's a lot easier to be consistent on the football field if you're consistent in your life and your preparation, throughout your day. And just trying to add a little bit more structure, going up to, waking up in the morning and getting through all this. And, after I leave, I feel like if everything's, steady and smooth, then you don't have to worry about, this because, you're going into it with a steady state of mind, and it'll feel like it just flows for you.
Have you altered your routine at all? Some guys talk about you meditating maybe or something like that. Have you altered your routine and what you do each day?
I have, but I can't give that away. It's like I can't offer my flow state to someone else.
Myles, would you say that you guys have the greater edge going against Baker Mayfield from knowing him so well, or might Baker Mayfield have the edge from knowing you guys so well?
I don't think it really matters, just because he has tendencies, and I'm sure he likes to throw the ball in certain spots along the field, but he has different targets. He has a different line, so he's going to have to change as well. He has different coaches who are going to work with him on those things that they've seen that he likes to do. So I'm sure we're going to see not a completely different Baker, but someone who's worked on some of his weaknesses and some, like I said, his tendencies to be like a more complete player and diversify himself.
And you guys will change things up too, so that he's not familiar with everything you're about to do?
I think we'll do the same old thing. Let's see what happens.
Myles, last year the division got kind of flipped on its head with the Bengals winning it. In your 6 years, is this as balanced as you've seen the AFC North?
It has. I think everyone's pretty good this year, and couldn't say that every year that I've been here, but everyone has a chance to win it, and now it's just about execution and technique. Everyone has good players, and there's a lot of stars on each team and in each position. Now it's just about those guys stepping up to the plate and making those plays when they need to, and carrying those guys alongside them.
Myles, you were the
top 100 is being released and there's 20 players left. Where do you expect yourself in that NFL 100?
What do I expect myself? Somewhere in the top 20. I don't want to rate myself. I'm not sure.
What do you think you should be?
Well, I think I should be 1. But I mean, I'm not voting. So.
Miles, you were talking about working on your craft earlier. How much do you watch like other pass rushers when going through that process?
I watch other pass rushers all the time. I mean, I watch all across the league. I think everyone does things differently, and I think there's a lot of different, body types, execution techniques, and some might be more applicable than others. But you have to see how other guys are winning and try to see if you can apply it on the practice field. And then you have to have the courage and the willingness to go out and attempt those things on the game, even if they don't work the first time or the second time. Just trying to get a feel and exploit some things that you're seeing from your opponents each week.
You were just asked about the top 100. It feels like on a lot of these lists, it's you and TJ kind of at the top among pass rushers. Is there anything about him that you take away or admire about the way that he plays, even though he's on a rival team?
I mean, I think he's a very savvy player. He knows what's coming most of the time. As far as running pass, he's able to get a good on the ball. He has a really good get off, and I think he works the edge really well. I'd like to talk to him and see a little bit into his mindset. But I really like his game and how he's able to work his hands. I know he's learned a lot from his brother in that regard. But he keeps guys off balance. He's able to play extended and get that separation. He applies pressure, which we like to talk about, but keeping that separation where you're not allowing a guy to get his hands on you, but you're doing the opposite.
So you guys play in rival teams. You see each other twice a year at least, sometimes more than that. And it seems like at least the last couple of years, you guys back and forth, like who's leading the NFL in sacks. Is he a barometer at all for you? A guy you compare yourself to? Or is it just all pass rushers that you're looking at in that way?
I mean, I look at everyone like that. Just trying to study, how they study their game, study their mindset going into it, and I don't like to compare myself to anyone, just because I think I have a lot of different things that I bring to the table, and I don't think anyone has the particular set of skills that I have. But I think in his own right and what he does it at the highest level. And there's other guys who don't get the great numbers like him or me, but who are also very good, talented edge rushers. And it's not a good barometer for just saying sacks apply to how good you are. There's a lot of different stats and statistics that really tell how good you are and how well you rush an edge.
So it's 11 games without Watson. What do you think of that?
I think it's an opportunity. I think it's a challenge. So. I feel like us as a defense, we have to look forward to taking on that task. Obviously he's a very dynamic player, and we might miss his presence on offense, but that's an opportunity for us to step up to the plate and be a very dominant defense, regardless of what the offense does.
Miles, I've asked some of your teammates who's sitting on a big year. A lot of them have said you.
1 minute.
On this team sitting on a big year.
Jordan Elliott.
What do you see from him?
One, I think he's come in 20 pounds bigger, mostly muscle, and he's probably the most explosive I've seen him since he's been here. And he's so comfortable in this defense now. I think he's in a good state of mind, and I think he's really all signs are pointing towards him having a very successful year.
Miles, Chris Kiffin describes you as more locked in than ever this summer, and believes that absolutely 100%, you should contend for NFL Defensive Player of the Year. So what's it like to receive a vote of confidence like that from your position guy who knows you best?
I'd hope my position guy would have that vote of confidence for me. But it means a lot coming from Kiff. He's a tough guy to please, but I'm glad I've been making strides as a leader and as a teammate out here, just trying to put my best foot forward and be the guy these guys can look up to and help inspire.
You're up.
I said this a couple of weeks ago. We were talking. I just think he's ready across all platforms to explode. Not just on. I mean, it feels like he's got the building blocks being built to a Hall of Fame career, and now this will be one of those seasons. It feels like you'll look back on and go, boom, and start to stack those, like be in the conversation for NFL Defensive Player of the Year all season. But then beyond that, he seems really comfortable being like face of the organization.
So you stole my word. I was going to ask if I could use one word 3 times. Comfortable, comfortable. And I just think that's what he is. He feels very comfortable in his own skin. He feels very comfortable leading this team. He feels comfortable with his abilities, and obviously they are tremendous. I think that he is going to have a monster season. I think this defense is going to have a monster season. I think we are well positioned. And I think that's one of the things, because of the other distractions, because of pretty much every conversation that's had about the Browns revolves around Deshaun Watson. And then now, well, is Jacoby Brissett good enough? That's really all. Nobody's talking about our defense. Nobody's even really talking about Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, to be honest with you.
Oh, no. No, it's all been about that. Yeah.
And there's a lot, and the focus would be more on our deficiencies at wide receiver than it would be at our strengths elsewhere. But I think this is a defense led by Myles Garrett that has a real opportunity to be special. I think we have one of the best edge rushing tandems in the league. Everybody's excited about Jordan Elliott. You heard him talking about it. If he could take a leap, that would be massive for us. I think our cornerback and safety room is one of the best in the NFL, period. And then I think we have a very underrated linebacker room that is immensely talented. And as a Big T transition, we're going to talk with our linebackers coach. I will, actually.
Yeah, you will.
Jason Tarver.
That's coming up. I honestly, you bring up a good point. We've talked about it on this show, just how impressive this defense is. It's not even just at the super duper star level with Myles, but it's at the linebacker room, incredible depth. The secondary is just stunningly deep. We're going to have guys not playing all the time who would start on a lot of teams in this league at corner, a lot. If you think about how deep we are at corner and safety, it's just stupefying the amount of talent there. The other thing with Myles that I think is really cool is he is very clearly, I think, for this city too, the face of the organization.
Yeah.
That's something that's transitioned over the last couple of years. Like, he is the most popular player. The way that he's embraced the city, the way that he lives, he puts his money where his mouth is in the city, the work that he does in the community, as good as he is. I mean, that moment, we played the Bears this weekend. When they were chanting his name at that stadium last fall,
it's awesome.
Was ridiculous. It was the loudest. It gave you bumps.
Chills. Goosebump City.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. It gave you
City.
He's got a chance to go down as an all-timer in this town. He really does. It's the building blocks are being laid for him to go down as one of the most popular athletes in the history of this city, and that's a hell of a feat because we've had a lot of them.
Yeah. No, there's no question that he has everything, the talent to do so. He's got the single-season sack record. He's got the franchise's single-game sack record, 4.5 against the Chicago Bears that we're going to get to see. So I'm sure he's excited. They have had some new offensive linemen to their stable after last year, and they needed to. But he's 4.5 sacks away from becoming the all-time sack leader in the history of the Browns. And as we know, he is just getting started. And so it's all there. You're right. I think you're all right. From on the field, off the field, the whole thing, it's all right there, Myles Garrett, to really ascend this year here in 2022.
Just 26.
Yeah.
Just 26.
And you think about the great ones, and I'll remember that some of our coaches and our scouts here said that Myles Garrett was their comp for him was Julius Peppers. And Julius Peppers, obviously, as we know, had an illustrious career, 9-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first-team All-Pro. Myles has a chance, I think, to better that. But he also played until he was 38.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get that out of Myles, you'd be quite pleased.
That's the longevity part of it that's all very real. Yeah, Myles already with 2 first-team All-Pros the last 2 years, second-team All-Pro in 2018, 3-time Pro Bowl selection as well. So remember, anytime we have that Hall of Fame conversation, we always, all right, give me the first-team All-Pros, give me those things. He's stacking those, and it feels like all of it's going to come to fruition this year in terms of Defensive Player of the Year, all that.
Cool note about Julius Peppers, too. He was on the Hall of Fame All-2000s team and the Hall of Fame All-2010s team.
Peppers was on both?
Both.
When's he eligible?
He retired in 2018, so 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. He'll be the class after the Huff, and he'll be a first ballot, I would think.
I just wanted to pull it up. Defensive Rookie of the Year. Yeah, he's 6 All-Pros, 3-time first-team All-Pro, 3-time second-team All, 9 Pro Bowls. Yeah, for sure. He's one of the 100 greatest Bears of all time. How about that? Yeah.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yes, he was.
Really good.
Really, really good. Yeah, I would think he would be a first ballot Hoff. It's funny, when I think of him, I primarily think of him as a Carolina Panther. But he goes to the Bears in 2010.
He has 1, 2, 3, 4 years with the Bears, and then he has 3 with Green Bay, and then retires with Carolina. I mean, in 2017, at the age of 37, he had 11 sacks.
Jeez.
That's incredible.
That is, yeah.
And by the way,
incredible.
You know how many seasons he played fewer than 16 games in his career?
3, 4.
1. His rookie year, he played 12. 1 Rookie of the Year with in 12 games, 12 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, an interception even. And then he played 16 games, 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 2018 when he retired at the age of 38. 16 games every year.
Good grief.
In a row.
Also started on the Carolina basketball team that had Vince Carter and Antoine Jameson.
Yeah, he's like a nice little power
starter.
Forward.
Yeah, 6'7". All right, good stuff there. More good stuff coming up next. Your boy Coach Tarver, the man.
Let's go.
With the visor. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
ESPN Cleveland.
Welcome back to Cleveland Browns Daily, and what a treat, joined by the great friend of the show, Browns linebackers coach Jason Tarver. And Coach, before we get into the serious stuff, we're going to try to lighten the mood here. You're a surfer. I don't know if our listeners know that. When did you first get on a surfboard?
Oh, shoot. It was a little later in life for me. You know, my wife taught me. She's a lot better than I am. She's a lot better athlete. She's almost better at everything than me.
By the way, you're scoring a lot of points right now. You're doing that. This is good. This is a good start for you.
But, yeah, she was into it and really good. So I battled because just like anything, you got to learn how to do it. So I took a few times where almost drowning, but, you know, it's awesome. It's different every day, and you have to overcome challenges just like playing in a game. You don't know necessarily what's coming, but you got to figure it out. And when you figure it out, it's a lot of fun.
So when you were going through your first lessons, are you familiar with the movie Forgetting Sarah Marshall? Was it like that? Do less? Do less? Was that really? But no, you got to do more than that. Was that kind of the thought process for you?
That's pretty funny because I've actually used that video clip in teaching football because sometimes guys are just looking all over the place. I'm like, there's one ball on the field. Do less. Find the ball. Run, shed, tackle the guy with the ball. So I've actually used that clip in meetings.
One of my favorite films. Fine movie. That's a great clip. It's good, especially for a guy like J.O.K., right? He says, when I see too much, I see too little. Do less.
I actually haven't used that one with him yet. I might. That's a good idea. I might bring that one back out.
All right, let's talk about your guys right now. We've gone through 2 games in the preseason, and obviously the top 4 did not play last week. But overall, how are you feeling about your 4 starters, as I know that's how you label them, and how have they come along so far?
Start with Sione. Sione's had a great camp. He really knows the scheme. He's studied. He's built his body back, overcoming injuries, surgery in the offseason. Really proud of him. He is absolutely playing well on contact and going to the right spot. And it's fun to see him have this much success. Can't wait to unleash him. Anthony Walker is doing everything for us and just even in better shape than last year, working through injuries and stretching more, working. I mean, you can't work harder than Anthony does.
Do you feel real quick on Awak? Is he the leader of this defense? I mean, he is the first guy on the field to celebrate anything. He's the guy that I know in your room everybody goes to look to talk to. And JOK would tell me sometimes, he would tell me what was going to happen on this plane. For some reason, I didn't listen to him, and he was right. He always is.
Yeah, there's a great clip last week in the practice interception that Jacob had, and Anthony's on the sideline. He had just rotated out, and he's on the sidelines saying the exact drop to Jacob and then celebrates. There's a little video somebody took. It's awesome. I would say that our room, the linebackers, we're in the middle of everything. So we need to all be the leaders. We need to help everybody up. We need to be the first people to celebrate. And I love that our guys are taking that to heart. And, we're competing to see who can be the number 1 leaders. But Anthony's always first. He's full energy. He's awesome. Jacob Phelps has gotten better and better throughout camp. Learned how to take care of his body, making plays, made some good plays against the Eagles in practice. And excited to see what he does this week. Just been on a steady upward climb for Jacob. Jeremiah is, like you just said, he still has some plays where he hasn't seen them yet. But what's been good is when he sees it, his explosiveness going forward and finding the ball. But he's still got to make sure he knows 100% of his assignments and then make it easy in his own head on each call, which is exactly our process, just like that. Do less. Learn the call, put yourself in the right spot, look at where you're supposed to go, and then go do it with his great ability.
It's a room with a lot of great abilities, and I think it's a room where those 4 in particular feel very cohesive. And it would be a thing where it could be easy to be really competitive, right? There are only so many snaps. I know they're all going to play, but what do you think about the camaraderie in your room and the continuity, getting to have those guys in there?
Yeah, they compete. They compete, and they are at each other the right way, and that's been fun to watch. Every once in a while, I might have to pull them back a little bit, but I kind of like a lot of that, and I like where they're going. So we let a lot of that go when they're getting after each other about doing things the right way and the correct way and trying to get the ball before everybody else.
Who's dominating in the meeting room?
Oh, our meeting room it's between Anthony and Jacob making the calls really fast, and Jordan's getting in there and he's starting to yell them out now too, and Sione's getting faster. They're really fast. And then every once in a while, Jeremiah will just beat them to the punch. So they all are. It's great. It's a lot of fun because if I ask a question or Coach Bloom asks a question or Coach Dunn asks a question, it's a race to see who can get it right.
I love that, and I love the competition. You're smiling right now. I know we're on radio, but if they could see it, you're smiling. Let's talk about the guys behind that big four, because I think there's a real competition here to not only make this team, but to carve a rollout on this team. Tony Fields played a lot, 7 tackles in Jacksonville, had a lot of tackles again against the Eagles. Some plays he probably wants back as well, but what are you seeing from him now in his second year, finally getting to play a lot of linebacker?
Tony's learning as he goes, and he's gotten to play the most snaps in the preseason, and that's by design, because really he didn't get any of that opportunity a year ago because this is the first time we've seen him on the field. So there's things that he's seeing for the first time, and our biggest point of emphasis is if it's not right the first time and we coach you on it, it needs to be right the next time. So that's right where Tony is in the process, but he likes contact and he'll run to the ball.
Yeah, he's got a lot of speed sideline to sideline. We saw that on a couple chase down plays against the Eagles. Dakota Allen, veteran, been in the league, been a core special teams guy, led us in tackles down in Jacksonville. Feels like he's just kind of always where he's supposed to be.
Yeah, Dakota's done a nice job because he's played all 3 linebacker positions since he's been here, and he got here right at the beginning of camp. So he's really studied, really worked, did extra meetings, taking care of his body the right way. I mean, he's a battler. He's a tough mindset. I love his mindset. He's a tough-minded guy, and he's fighting.
And then I want to talk about a guy that I think you've got to love. I love watching him play, Jordan Kunashik. I mean, he is physical. He is always in the face of the ball carrier. He drives them back. His technique on his tackles seem to be excellent. He doesn't miss tackles. I don't know. There's something about him. I like this kid. And he's only been here for, 2 weeks?
Yeah, Jordan's done wonderful. He's a lock-in human being, and he's amazing what he's been able to do really in 2 weeks. He controls his body at the top of his drops and running through tackles. He had a tackle in the game this week that we call a profile. Driving our feet for 5 steps, and he started to drive. If there's a second part, is if you can forklift or lift the leg out of the ground, you can't get a better tackle than what he did. The guys were on the sideline, forklift. Anthony and Jacob were going crazy. It was awesome. It was one of the best forklifts. We're going to teach off of that one forever. To come in and be able to get teach tape reps is pretty impressive. So, yeah, we're excited to see Jordan this week. I mean, like you said, it's a battle. These guys have all stepped up and hopefully continue to step up more because this game's going to be – these guys are going to be fighting for spots.
Yeah, and there's a lot of competition. Willie Harvey as well in that room. A lot of competition, only so many spots. And I know you know who your top 4 are, but how big of a role does this week of practice and then this?
Well, Coach Stefanski will tell us who's playing, but I would expect to see all of these young men in this game, and how much will be determined by him. But yeah, it's going to be. This is a mock game week for us, and so the guys are going to have to lock into meetings, and whoever locks in the best is going to give themselves the best chance. But we like them all, and you never know in this season. I mean, we need everybody. We need everybody on the practice squad. We need everybody who's around with the elevated practice squad numbers. Getting up to 12, that really helps us. So if you're not on the first week roster and you're on practice squad, you might be on the next week roster. So this thing moves, and we need everybody.
What do you like the most? Watching film, meetings, practice, game day? Because you bring a similar intensity to all of it. I think you like it all.
It's all the same to me. My number one goal is to be the same person every day. Sometimes
I can vouch for that. Check.
Yeah, the same person every day and bring the energy. So to me, it doesn't matter the venue. It doesn't matter the venue. Everything, as soon as that clock starts, when we're on the clock, we're doing football and we're trying to get better to get after somebody. And that's it.
We need 2 insights in your personality. Favorite movie of all time?
Major League.
Oh, nice. Even a little Cleveland tie there. All right. And then if you're going out, taking the wife out for a nice dinner in town, what's your go-to restaurant?
Oh, in here. Well, Timetable's real close to the house, and we like to walk, and there's really good people, and our neighbors are in there. So we like it there, man. They got good food, good drinks, good everything.
All right, make sure you take care of Coach Tarver next time he comes in there at Timetable. Coach, thanks so much for the time. Excited to see your guys on Saturday night.
All right, thank you.
And we'll be back with more Cleveland Browns Daily right after this.
Hey, Mackenzie here. And if you're like me, you love a great deal. And that's what you're going to get at Ken Ganley Kia in Medina and Mentor. Get our lowest price, our lowest interest rate, and the credit you deserve on hundreds of new Kias in stock and on the way. And with back to school, there's no better time to get our lowest payment and just sign and drive a new Kia Soul, Forte, K5, Sorrento, Telluride, or the all-new 2023 Sportage with 0 due at signing. Plus, we've got a great selection of fuel-efficient Kia models, including hybrids that get up to 50 miles per gallon. Get our lowest price, our lowest interest rate, and the credit you deserve at 2 convenient Ken Ganley Kia locations. In Mentor at 9090 Mentor Avenue, and in Medina at I-71 and Route 18. Tell them McKinsey sent you, because I want to see ya in a Ken Ganley Kia. KenGanleyKia.com.
Plus tax, tag, title, and dock fee on approved credit through KMF. EPA estimated range will vary depending on driving conditions. See us for details.
I am making the big change this off-season, and I am going with Dr. Mickley and Beechwood Dental. It is one of the most beautiful dentist offices I've ever seen. You would never feel like you're in an office. You feel comfortable there. Every time I think about the dentist, I get like nightmares the night before. Like, no, I don't want to go. You hear those weird sounds, the smells. That's not what it's like at Dr. Mickley's office. I actually look forward to my next appointment. So Beechwood Dental is the place to go. If you want to check them out yourself, head to beechwooddental.com or call 216-831-5661. Dr. Mickley, Beechwood Dental, comfort, quality, and care.
Save big on a perfectly clean home with the pros at Perfect Power Wash is celebrating over 20 years of beautifying homes by offering you 20% off all services. That's 20% off your house, your roof, your concrete, wash and seal, and more. Perfect Power Wash safely removes surface contaminants from your home, protecting your home against costly repairs. This offer won't last long. 888-860-WASH. Promo code Rizzo. Save 20% on Perfect Power Wash now.
There's a new way to cheer on your Cleveland Browns with the help of your favorite four-legged companion. Barking Backers, presented by Milkbone, Cleveland's newest club for pet parents worldwide. Sign up today at barkingbackers.com. Barking Backers, the fan club for dogs. Did you see that, the Thrones numbers? 10 million?
Biggest premiere ever.
The original Thrones was 2.2. Did you watch it in real time, or did you catch up on it? Were you in right away?
Right away.
Me too.
Yeah.
I watched it live the first week. I
Same.
remember watching it by myself.
My dad was, now Pedro was a huge fan, read all the books.
So he knew.
Oh, so he was like giddy. This was an event by the time it actually came out.
Oh, my God. I would have.
Yeah.
We should have him on as like our ombudsman on the breakdowns. Like,
all right, I gotta figure out.
Historical, see if he has a good handle on the history of this.
Even if he doesn't, he will speak with great authority
as
on
if
the
he
matters.
Does.
Yeah.
How much did Google and Siri and stuff undercut his authority?
Huge.
Yeah, bigly.
Massive.
Yeah.
Massive. He was probably one of the biggest casualties of Google, just as because he's a highly intelligent man. He is highly articulate, and he was able to say things in a very convincing way that had no ability to be fact checked unless you were going and found like an encyclopedia.
Go to a library.
But you had to go to a library. Now, instant fact checking. Yeah, he's not a big fan of that.
Not pleased with that. No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. So 10 million is what it did. I didn't know how it would be received because of you were more bullish than I was. I thought it would. I knew it would be decent. I definitely thought you did. I believe you did have that. I thought it would be decent. I didn't think it would be that big. The thing about that is that doesn't even tell the true tale of it because it's actually probably a lot bigger because there's a lot of password sharing that's being done on HBO Max.
For sure.
probably a couple million at least of that.
Yeah.
So when you think about $15 a month times 10 million, at least,
do the math.
It goes pretty quick. Yeah, I am surprised they have not greenlit the second season yet. I would think that they would just greenlight
immediately
all of it at this point.
They want in the
stack it
inside the episode. And one of the things I read on The Ringer with one of the producers that they are hoping for a 4-season arc.
Did they give you an idea of what that takes you through? Does that get you? Because the more and more I started to get excited about it, because you know how I feel about prequels. I talked about that.
Yeah.
But then the more and more I got excited about the idea of, and I think you got me thinking about this yesterday when we briefly talked about it, I was thinking about, how does all of this collapse?
Right. Yes.
Like,
that's
what
what's
is
exciting.
what leads to, and I'm not going to read the books, and so it's,
So you won't know.
So I won't know.
Me neither.
What leads to the point that they're so vulnerable that normal men can defeat them?
Well, and there's
with
the
Robert's
Tales,
Rebellion, which comes,
which I'd love to watch. See Robert and Ned Stark
I'm,
fighting side by side.
That's what I'm wondering. How does it take it all the way to?
We'll find out.
To
but
170 years,
something
or do they
happens
go 100
to the
years,
Targaryens. Their dragons start shrinking.
Right.
And without their dragons, they're men like anybody else.
Right. So what leads to? I mean, it feels like it's actually a pretty short timeline to go from the dragons that we all saw on Sunday night, fully formed, flying around like, I mean, those guys are like B-2s flying around up there, to all of a sudden they're going to start to shrink over time. I mean, what leads to that in only 170 years?
Well, we're about to find out.
1 minute.
Giddy up.
Buckle in.
There's
a lot
Buttercup.
of the other thing that I did read about it. I went down a rabbit hole last night about this. They are able to, because it doesn't have the depth of a novel. There's going to be a lot of ways that Martin can manipulate the history that's there for it to be more entertaining or more fun if it need be.
Well, then that was
because
for
it's
example,
not the books. It's a kind of a history, right?
It's a history, and the revelation of that it's been passed down. The Song of Fire and Ice has been passed. That was a revelation that you got only in that show.
Yeah, which was cool
and ties it all together.
Yeah. Now I'm in. I was watching a lot of it last night. Yeah, I'm in.
There we go.
I was in watching it. As soon as it started, I'm like, okay, I'm back.
We're
back.
Go.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, the next level's coming up next. We're back tomorrow. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.